The Nigerian Senate is making efforts to enact laws to manage housing in the country. A bill that is set to address the cost and payment of rent in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja, was introduced to the Senate last year. The bill, sponsored by Senator representing Kogi West, Smart Adeyemi, is titled Advanced Rent Residential Apartments, Office Spaces, etc. Regulation Bill 2022. The bill, if passed into law, would make it an offense for landlords in the Federal Capital Territory to demand yearly payment of rent from tenants. We'll discuss this topic alongside the leadership of the 10th Senate. We understand lobbying is ongoing among, the interested parties, and we have in the studio the chairman of the Senate Committee on Special Duties, Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf. He is a senator representing Taraba Central at the National Assembly. Welcome to the program, most distinguished Senator.
Thank you very much. Nice to be with you.
Okay, so should we start with...
Maybe we should just start quickly with the housing and then we'll move to the real issue of ground at the moment. Senator, where are we on this bill? Because I know the bill passed second reading as far back as February of 2022. Up to date, I mean, it's nothing passed.
You see, thank you very much. You see, bills, go through what we call, legislative processing. And some bills come and go. Others, will have to depend on a lot of information, that come. I'm not aware if they have done any public hearing on that. So the bill is being prepared for public hearing. And it may take, some time. Sometimes it will take a very, very short time to do, depending on how prepared and how informative, and how the stakeholders, take the issue seriously. As you know, this is, I mean, we are not even a mixed economy. For me, we are operating a capitalist economy. And in a capitalist economy, there are some forces, whether they are centripetal or centrifugal forces, that will come into play. Why will this man make a law to come and disturb, the landlords of this country? We own our property, so let us see how we can delay, how I mean the public hearing of this bill. So I'm just speculating. It may be that is the reason, but my thinking is that it may require a lot of preparation.
But Senator, the worry by a lot of Nigerians is the fact that this particular Senate, the 9th Senate, has just 2 months to go. Yeah. May, June, okay, if you add this month, maybe 2.5, thereabout. Yeah. And if that is not done before the expiration of this Senate, it will start all over again. That is,
Well, yes, unfortunately that is it, and it shouldn't have been. I think it all depends, on the laws, on our orders. We have tried, to talk about this issue so that if you have a bill pending, and I mean, even if the initiator of the bill, does not return, I think there should be 1 or 2 other senators who will pick it up and continue to where it has stopped. But you see, this is a legislative, agenda that sometimes very, very difficult to understand why all these things will have to repeat all over again. I had my bills, that of a Federal College of Education, Mutumbi. Up till now, we have not passed it. I started in the F Assembly. So there are a lot of, issues where, this thing will are affected, negatively. But I think, maybe the 10th Assembly will look at it, the best way they could, whether there should be continuity, in the bills, so that you don't have to stop where the initiator, stopped and left.
So, Senator, how do we address this issue? Because, like you said, it's a challenge where a senator or the initiator of a bill does not return to the National Assembly, and then the bill just halts. And if nobody picks it up to continue the process, the bill might not likely see the light of day in terms of becoming, an act. So what should be the solution to this problem?
I think, in my own opinion, the solution will be, for the Senate to look at its own standing orders, to look at, how fast, it can be able to amend, to make sure that even if, the initiator is not there, the bill, can still, be effectively, moved upon. you know, by the Committee on Rules and by briefing the leadership. You know, these are the bills that were presented, you know, after passing, you know, second reading, but they have not moved forward, and the bills are for this and that and that and that. Whether, you know, one or two or three, or even the senator that is outside, he can still, you know, use one of the senators there and then, you know, promote the bill. So there's a possibility of doing that, you know, but it all depends on how the rules are amended.
Senator, will you say that the elections and preparation for the elections affected this the bill?
The progress.
Yeah, there is. So sometimes, you know, some of the things, you know, do happen. You know, it depends on the promoter of the bill. You know, if he is an active participant in one election or the other, you know, he may not have enough time, or the stakeholders may be busy, and by calling on the public here, you'll find that you will not have effective participation, you know, of the public. So there won't be any need for you to go into that.
Okay, so Senator, now on the issue of the race to Senate presidency as well as other principal positions in the Senate. So while a lot of onlookers are watching keenly to see how it turns out, quite a number of ranking senators have come out to, you know, declare interest. There's Senator Barrow, there's Senator Orji Uzor Kalu, and there's even Governor David Umahi, who just got into the Senate. So I think I should ask two questions wrapped into one. Firstly, should we be expecting an incoming senator, for the first time at least, to probably stand a chance of becoming the Senate president? That's one. And then secondly, would we most likely be seeing, you know, the normal zoning take place this time as opposed to quality?
Well, let me start with the first question. Yes. You see, whenever the new assembly, you know, comes in, I think there's in the standing rules of the Senate that, you know, it's the ranking senators that will participate in this. Now, there are rules already, so I think, you know, if there's a new person that is coming to think that, you know, he's going to participate, it's going to be affected negatively.
So most likely an effort in futility.
Yes. So, the second question, you know, on the zoning, well, for me, you know, there is nothing sacrosanct about zoning. The party, you know, that will now take responsibility to zone. The party should have taken responsibility in taking care of its members, to take care of its aspirants, to take care of its candidates. You know, I don't know about other political parties, but, you know, the party that I'm a member of, which is All Progressive Congress, in my own opinion, I may be wrong, but, you know, I don't think they have taken care of the processes very, very well, to the extent that they want to exert the supremacy of the party. And for you to exert supremacy of the party, that means you must be responsible, you must be credible, you must be that kind of party that can take care of the interests of your members. I've been in APC, you know, since 2015, and I've passed all through my court cases. No single dime that has come from the political party to help me in one way or the other. So I battled it all through, and that is what all the other candidates, you know, are battling it through, whether you are sued or whether you are sued. I think, you know, the party should sit up, the party should look at this in the context of how will it, you know, support its own membership, because that is the only way, you know, you are going to earn the respect. I don't believe respect should be imposed. Respect should be earned. Let the party earn the respect and say, well, we are a political party, and we'll have to zone this, and we are going to exert the supremacy of the party.
All right.
They should earn the
Senator,
respect.
Your party before the election had this issue of the Muslim ticket, where the president-elect and the vice president-elect are both from a particular faith. And so because of that, a lot of people are saying that will form part of one of the things that will decide who becomes the Senate president. Do you think that should be an issue?
Yes, it will be an issue, but, you know, it is not a party thing. It was just a political, you know, political convenience. you know, and just a winning ticket convenience, you know, by the APC. APC feels that, you know, if, you know, a Muslims coming from the southern part of this country, Muslims are a minority. And then if they are going to take a Christian in the north, and a Christian, you know, is seen as a minority in the north. So a minority in the south, a minority in the north cannot give a winning ticket. But if you have a minority in the south and a majority in the north, maybe will give a winning ticket, which was what we have seen. So yes, it will be an issue because we have, unfortunately or fortunately, people, you know, try to abuse religion, and they want to make it, you know, a very, very sensitive issue. For me, you know, we can have the topmost 4 to be all Christians or all Muslims. So for me, it is just, you know, we have made religion a very, very sensitive thing in this country.
All right, so Senator, earlier during your response, you said something about political parties playing the part of supporting or at least helping, you know, candidates who have cases in court in one way or the other. Yeah. Now, would you say this is what played out such that in Taraba State, now that I'm going, because you vied for the governorship, would you say this was the reason why, you know, we saw the party in the light that we saw it, with all of the challenges that it faced before, during, and even after the election?
Let me pull back a little bit. I was a member of the Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, you know, which we had about, I think, 18 months or 20 months. And we actually, you know, brokered midwife the bringing up of the National Working Committee of the party. You know, and when you are doing such a thing, you know, you have to be mindful of so many issues. So the case of Taraba is a special case in the sense that, you know, there was no justice that was provided for the aspirants, not just the gubernatorial, also the senatorial, House of Representatives, House of Assembly, because all the membership of the committees that were established by the party was an imposed committee, and the committee did not go to Taraba and do a good job. There was no justice, there was impunity, and it is as a result of that, specifically in Taraba, we had a lot of issues.
So most parties are not satisfied with the outcome?
Yes,
even the process itself?
Yes. That is why, you know, the one I participated in as a governorship candidate, you know, we were 7 at first. You know, they couldn't do the primaries. They had to run to the airport and say that they have done the primaries. There was no primaries. There was no justice at all. So all the 6 of us, you know, were not satisfied with the way the party was, handled the primaries.
So, Senator, are you saying that the situation in Taraba is self-inflicted?
It's not well self-inflicted by the leadership of the party at the headquarters. Yeah.
The leadership of the party was responsible for the loss of APC in the state.
Yeah, I said it before. I said it on the 27th of May, and I will continue to say that, you know, they are responsible for what has happened, you know, in Taraba State. I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever.
Okay, so on a previous engagement, we had Jamilu, who is also from Taraba State and an analyst who was speaking on the issues. And he said, in his words, that he feels that the governorship candidate of the APC, talking about Senator Boacha, was a stooge implanted in the APC to cause rancor and division, and so as to weaken the, you know, forces of the APC in the state. Do you also subscribe to?
Yes, there's a possibility of doing that. You know, some of us feel that, you know, with due respect, Senator Emmanuel Boacha, you know, came in as a mole, because, you know, otherwise, you know, you came, you know, 90 days, you know, down the line, you went for primaries. If he had done successful primaries, I wouldn't have said he's a mole. But the primaries that was done, there was no success in it at all. He had all the resources, you know, as the national headquarters believe that he had all the resources to conduct an effective, efficient primaries, just like Senator Binani, you know, in Adamawa State. She did it so credibly, and there was not much rancor. So
but senators, as alleging that he's a mole is a bit, you know, some persons will say he had the support of the APC at the national level. So
would you say?
Would you really say that somebody who had the support of the APC
indicting itself? The party indicting itself.
You know, that is why I said, you know, the more you see, I mean, the less you understand what has happened. You know, why wouldn't the committee sent to conduct primary in Taraba do the right thing? Why? Why not? Why would they go through, you know, in a way to start to impose a particular candidate?
But they insisted that they did the right thing.
Well, they did, but up till today, you know, the chairman of the committee, you know, has said that, you know, let the stakeholders come to Abuja and solve the problem. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He said it, not once, not twice. That is why, you know, even the courts, you know, at the court of first instance, the Federal High Court in Jalingo, Federal High Court in Abuja, you know, said there was no valid primaries. I take it. So, I mean, for me, you know, that's why I say with due respect, you know, I mean, in 2023, everyone in Taraba knew there was no PDP performance. And therefore, the alternative party to succeed, you know, is the APC. So, but now, you know, for the APC to succeed, they know it will. So they had to count some interest will have to come into it and say, well, let us make it impossible for even APC to survive. Let PDP continue. Remember, since 1999 up till today, you know, it's PDP that has been ruling Taraba State. It's the only state in the country that PDP continues to rule up till today.
So with all of this, what's the future of the APC in Taraba?
Well, in politics, there's nothing impossible. Today, you are strange bedfellows. Tomorrow, you are very good friends. You know, we can all again come together and say, now that we have battled it out, we have seen, you know, where mistakes were made, you know, where, you know, some self-inflicted, you know, issues that couldn't solve our problem. You know, we all lost, no doubt about it. We all lost. Ordinarily, APC could have won Taraba in a very, very, very clear mind, but we all lost. Now, since we have lost, resources were lost, credibility were lost, you know, and therefore this is the time that we all again come back to sit on the round table and say, well, now this is where we are. We have all lost, and therefore let us all come together and see how we are going to rebuild our party for 2027.
How together is the APC to bring people together at this point? Because I saw a story today where the vice chairman was telling the chairman of the party to account for the money that was accrued from the sale of farms. So it doesn't show as if, you know.
Yes, there's that possibility. Like I said, it's all matter of transparency and accountability. Once you can accuse me, you know, objectively, you know, let me come out and defend, you know, my actions. So if we all believe that we are going to do the right thing, we are going to be just, we are going to be honest with ourselves, you know, without, you know, selfish, you know, motives to it, we are going to solve this problem in no time.
Okay, so Senator, another thing we saw, you know, that's peculiar in Taraba as well is the performance of the NNPP during the governorship election. I mean, the APC came third and the NNPP second in the election. So would you say that the wranglings, the internal wranglings in the APC was what we saw as the outcome that led to the NNPP, you know, dominating the APC in Taraba, especially as the NNPP was just 9 months into the game and with such performance?
Yes and no, in the sense that, you know, the vote that NNPP got was protest against the candidature of Emmanuel Bacha.
Interesting.
I mean, let us not hide it. It's very, very clear. You know, it is an imposition. The APC members at the grassroots say, well, this is not the candidate that we want.
So some APC members worked with the PDP? Well, with the NNPP?
I'm not saying they worked with NNPP, but what I'm saying is sometimes there's a tendency that you'll have protest votes. So they feel that, you know, why? Or they may decide, okay, we are not even voting, since, you know, it is not the candidate of our choice. Because we all know Emmanuel Bacha, with due respect, was not candidate of the choice of the popular APC in Taraba. So very, very clear. And therefore the people are saying, well, he's not our candidate, so why should we bother ourselves?
Okay, so issues are very real, and in fact, as of today, I believe they still exist. I mean, you are an aggrieved party, and I'm sure that quite a number of others, including the senatorial candidates as well as State House of Assembly candidates, share in the same grievances. Now, this increases the population of people who are aggrieved in the party within the state, you know, very largely. So, going forward, what would you advise that the party, you know, do to calm the nerves of aggrieved parties like yourself and others who also share, you know, the same assumptions?
Well, thank you very much. I think the party has the opportunity and they have responsibility to call their members and sit down with the members and say, well, we have observed, we have made certain mistakes. Forgive us. Let us look at it once again so that, you know, we put everything together and we move forward. But if the party at the national level still insists they have not done anything wrong, I think there will continue to be problems.
So we'll most likely see people like yourself exiting the party?
No, I'm not going to leave APC. Okay. It's the party I've ever known. I've never joined any political party in my life except the APC. So it's the party I know. I will stay with the APC. I will stay put and then wait for the national to call us and say, well, we believe that, you know, things were not handled in the best way they could. Now that we have a new president coming in, you know, the president, you know, is likely going to be, you know, the leader of the party. And if the party has not done so, maybe the president-elect, you know, will look at it and say, well, I'm leader of the party. You know, I was not part and parcel of these processes that has happened. Now, all of you come together.
Well,
nip of your differences.
Well, has the party started that process with anyone?
And what if it doesn't happen?
Exactly.
Well, it is necessary that it must happen, because it is not just Taraba. We have so many states that have rivers is there. You know, they are still battling with it. You know, even Nasarawa state, where the chairman is coming from, you know, has that issue. We know Kebbi has this issue. Zamfara has the issue. You know, even Katsina. You know, there are so many states that have this kind of issues. So it is the leader of the party that will now look at all this and say either they might form a reconciliation committee, maybe, or it depends. You know, in politics there is nothing impossible. Everything can be put on the table, and then you all nip of your own, you know, individual differences and say we are going to move ahead with this party.
Okay,
all right.
Senator.
Away from Taraba, back to the leadership of the 10th Assembly. There was a story, there was an interview by Senator Ali Ndume where he said that people are actually buying the positions of the leadership position. So I'm going to ask two questions. First of all, he says there's no need for zoning, that it should be thrown open to anybody that wants to contest. And now that happened in 2015, and we all know what the outcome of that. So I would like to get your take on that. That's one. And then secondly, he actually alleged that there are some members of the party who are trying to use whatever it is that they have to get these positions. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Well, in politics, you know, there are different forms of lobbying. You know, some may use resources to lobby, some may use personalities to lobby, some may use, you know, good names and what have you. So in my own opinion, you know, the Senate, you know, that is going to consider, you know, the leadership. We saw, like you say, what happened in 2015. You know, there was protest against the party. So the party wanted it done this way, and the members said, no, this is the way we want to do it. There's nothing wrong with that. The party can do it so long as there is understanding and clear that people are doing that not as a result of protest, but they are doing it as a result of going to get, you know, the best leadership, you know, it could. And with due respect, even in 2019, when we came in, you know, Senator Ali Ndume contested against Ahmed Lawan. So, I mean, nobody stopped. He insisted that he wants to do it, and he did it, you know, and Senator Ahmed Lawan was successful, you know. So, but for me, what happens in the hallowed chamber when senators go and meet, and with all the lobbyists outside, sometimes you'll have a different ball game, depending on who convinces who. But like I said, zoning is not a legal thing. Zoning is just for convenience. And if that is the case, I think we should go with the best way that can put Senate members together. Senator Ahmed Lawan, has done a good job because, throughout the 4 years, there was no rancor, there was no, opposition, there was no this, because it was managed well. Majority of the senators voted for Senator Ahmed Lawan, and they believe, in the leadership of Ahmed Lawan. So that is why probably we didn't have any much rancor, whether from the other political parties and what have you. Today, I think we have 57 or so, senators of APC. So they even form a majority. So there's likely going to be, the Senate president coming from APC, not from another political party.
All right, Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf, Senator representing Taraba Central. We thank you very much for joining us on Daybreak this morning to share your thoughts on a variety of issues this morning, and we do hope to have you another time.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here, and I will always be available.
All right, thank you so much.
Share